Today we will be discussing meiosis. So all living things can reproduce themselves. Here we have an example of an organism and it is reproducing. There are two main types or methods of reproduction. There's sexual and asexual reproduction. So asexual is a single organism will produce offspring on its own. So the prefix a means without. And this produces offspring that are genetically identical to their parents. So for example, bacteria, different types of annelids or worms. We have things called hydras, also ferns, different things like that will reproduce asexually. Sexual reproduction is when two organisms share their genetic material to create offspring. And this creates offspring that are different from both parents and genetically unique. So animals, humans, plants, different things like that will reproduce sexually. So homologous chromosomes. Homologous chromosomes are like chromosomes that we have where we have them paired up. In eukaryotic cells and diploid cells, basically they have two copies of each chromosome, one from each parent. So our diploid cells would be like basically anything that's not your sex cells. Your skin, your blood, your bone, different things like that would be diploid. So during sexual reproduction, organisms have to share their chromosomes, but without adding or subtracting from the total number. So the way they do that is these organisms create special haploid cells with only one of each chromosome. So normally we have the 46 chromosomes. These haploid will only have half of that genetic information, so 23. And those are your sex cells, which are your sperm and your egg. So these are also called gamete cells, which are your egg and sperm, and they are haploid, meaning they only have one copy of each chromosome. They're made in your reproductive organs, so our sperm is made in testes, our ovaries make our eggs, and they're created in a process known as meiosis. So meiosis creates cells with only one of each type of chromosome, and these offspring get one set of chromosomes from each parent. So this creates offspring that are similar to both parents, but genetically unique. This is the reason why even though you, your brother, your sister might have the same parents, you are not genetically identical because of meiosis. So it increases the genetic variations in the population, and that's what's important about meiosis. It does not create new genes, however, it just creates new combination of those genes. So crossing over, this is a recombination of homologous chromosomes. We create new gene combinations during crossing over, and it increases genetic variation. So here we have a set of homologous chromosomes, and sections of each chromosome will break off and recombine or cross over, mix with the other chromosome, and then we get our new genetically varied homologous chromosomes. So in a single chromosome, you could have genes from both your grandmother and your grandfather. So what is the significance of meiosis? It helps create genetically unique offspring. It reduces the number of chromosomes to help create haploid gamete cells. And it increases genetic variations and creates new combinations of genes. So mutations. Mutations that occur in gamete cells are passed on to offspring. And mutations to gamete cells usually occur during meiosis. And remember, your gamete cells are your sperm and egg. So chromosome mutations typically result from mistakes in crossing over, and we're going to discuss 5 different types. The first one is duplication. In this, we have a segment of a chromosome is accidentally copied twice. So down here we have a diagram of duplication. We have a section of a chromosome represented by the pink and green, and is accidentally copied twice, and now we have a mutated chromosome. Next is deletion. So a segment of the chromosome is removed. So here we have our original chromosome, and then we have a break in the chromosome represented by the pink. That pink section, or the break, is deleted, and then now we have our mutated chromosome. Next, we have inversion. In this mutation, we have a segment of a chromosome will break off, flip around, and then reattach itself backwards. So down here we have inversion. We have a chromosome here, and then a section represented by the pink and green breaks off, flips around or is inverted, and then it is reattached. So now instead of having pink and green sections of the chromosome like it should be, we have the green then pink. The last one is translocation. And this one we have a segment that attaches to a non-homologous chromosome. So these two chromosomes are not homologous. They're not paired up. And we have sections break off from each, and then they switch. The last type of mutation is non-disjunction, and this occurs when chromosomes fail to separate properly during meiosis. So this causes offspring to only have one chromosome from a pair, monosomy, or 3 homologous chromosomes, trisomy. Okay, make sure you write everything in red and green, and I'll see you tomorrow.